how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. Ferris Bueller from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. I mean, that really says a lot. When you pay attention to boredom, it gets unbelievably interesting. I think a lot of us, like myself, with the history of mental illness, I've had a history of if I slow down and if I stop, then I could become depressed or anxious. So I tend to want to stay in the move. Now that my condition is pretty well maintained, managed, in reality, that's not a concern. But I spend so much of my life in this mode where if I slow down and I stop, I'm going to become depressed, that I tend to want to keep moving. I'm kind of hardwired. And many people have a certain view of that, where they want to stay on the move. And when you want to stay on the move, or you feel there's something you should be doing, and if you don't do it, you feel guilty. What happens though is we don't stay in the present because we're constantly trying to move forward, and we're never fully engaged in where we are. But the problem is there's always something else that can move you forward. You can always be taking a step forward and not standing still and taking stock of what you have right now, this moment. The present moment is the only thing we can really control. The past, we can't do anything about. The future, we can't do anything about the future. We can plan and try to have the future outcomes be what we want based upon planning. Ultimately, though, we cannot determine or dictate what's going to happen in the future. What we could do is very much control what happens in the present. The problem is the present is only one moment, it's 1 second. The past is however many years, and the future is however many years. We don't know how many years are in the future. We do know how many years are in our past. And when we have a situation where either we've had trauma in our lives, we can get stuck in the past. We can have past hurts that we haven't been able to heal or haven't tried to heal. We can be worried about the future because there's all sorts of unknowns in everyone's future. And people, for example, that don't like change, and they may know they were undergoing a change, and that's going to change. That's going to have an effect on their future. Or just the mere fact that the future is an unknown causes people to get worried about trying to control what's going to happen when that's not possible, and getting kind of bogged down in that. So what mindfulness does is it teaches us to live in the present and to teach or treat every moment with equal importance. Whether you're going to your grandson's graduation, high school graduation, or you're cleaning the toilet bowl. What mindfulness says is, what you choose to do at a moment in time is important because you chose to do it. And once you choose to do it, take ownership of that and do it with focus, clarity, and to the best of your ability. It's really easy when we make a decision on what we want to do right now. Well, let's say I'm right here, and now I'm finishing whatever I'm doing right here, and I'm ready to do something else, and I have to decide what will that be. And a lot of it is, well, do I get up and walk out and get the mail, or do I go feed the cat? Or I mean, it's like, really, our lives have a lot of really basic things, right? And what happens is when I make the decision for what I want to do next, which will very, very soon be my right now, I want to be confident enough to make the decision and stick to it. And then do that thing with clarity and focus the best I can, and then move on to the next thing. I find that in my life, I'm able to get a lot more done because I'm not getting distracted with second guessing a decision as to what my next activity will be, trying to figure out whether let's say I say the next thing we're going to do, I come up with 6 things. Now I gotta whittle the 6 things down to 1. And what if while I'm doing that, a 7th thing pops in? Now that's in the mix. So I think it's common to be in that kind of frame of mind, and some of that is societal influences of our spouses and about people in our lives, our parents, our kids. We can be influenced by all of our experiences in our relationships, and it can cause us not to own what we want to do, or not to own what we choose to do, to have really influences of other people, and that makes it difficult being mindful, because anything that formulates a distraction makes it difficult to be mindful. What is mindfulness? What are some of the objectives of mindfulness? Why should we engage with considering to be mindful? It gives us a sense of being in control of our how we feel. Being in control of not that we can control the events in our lives, but we feel like we have a relative handle on things. We feel that no matter what's going on in our lives, how little is going on or how much is going on, how many things are changing, how many things in our lives may be pleasant or be unpleasant with our own lives and with our people in our lives. We feel a certain sense of control over our response to external stimulus and to our decisions that we make based upon things that happen in our lives. Because without mindfulness, you might tend to worry and get into this loop of just worrying about things and not really getting anything accomplished, and not even working towards trying to resolve the thing you're worried about. You're just stuck in the worry. And then what happens is, because you're worried about an event, that event initiated in the past, and you get stuck in the past, and then you can't get back to the present. So it's a release from worry. It focuses on the journey, not the destination. We are so eager to have things that we're trying to get accomplished. We have checklists. My wife has a written checklist, and she may do it every day. And then what we do is we say, I'm going to place a value on my day when the day ends based upon how many things I checked off my checklist, how many things I accomplished. Well, the thing with that is, it doesn't make it satisfying. You may accomplish 8 things today, and you had 9 things on your checklist. And that's an amazing day. Or is it? The fact that if you're focused on the destination, trying to get these things done, while you're stepping through the day, it's not as satisfying when you get them done, because you're not focused on the journey. You're not focused on the path towards getting things done. So mindfulness is about the journey, not the destination. It's also coping with the speed and intensity of life. It slows things down. And it doesn't mean your activities are any different than they would be anyway. It doesn't mean you're opting out of doing things because you're trying to simplify your life. It just means you're living the life you choose to live, but you live the life at a slower pace. In your head, things are moving more slowly. And I don't mean like, oh my God, I'm just gonna fall asleep to move so slow, but they just kind of move along at a nice, kind of a nice, calm pace. I mean, it feels calm, even if you're doing a lot and you're moving quickly. It doesn't feel that way. And what it does is, it makes life, I just realized this the other day, it makes life easier. Not easy, but easier. You're still gonna, have all your life's experiences. You're gonna struggle. You're gonna have heartbreak and all the good stuff too. But it does make life easier. And then I've had people in workshops ask me, well, I don't want to. And people say I don't want to try mindfulness because what if I can't do it? And then it's something else I'm going to fail at. What I tell people, you can't fail at mindfulness. You try it, and it's not something that you measure. It's not something you get a grade on. It's not something it's not something where you establish a standard, and then if you don't meet the standard, you measure your results to the standard, and if you fall short, then you fail. Because you don't establish a standard. You don't establish a measurement. You just are, you just be. And so you kind of start to take measurement out of your life. Now it doesn't mean, if you're trying to, if you're going to school and you're trying to get a degree, you say, well, I'm not going to bother doing that. Because measurement comes into play where it's useful. But where it's not useful, you kind of abandon it. You say, you know what? I'm tired of measuring my life. I'm tired of other people measuring my life and tell me where I should be, what I should be doing. And then I'm doing it to myself. I'm measuring my own life. And then I be judgmental and critical of myself. So that's what it really does. So it's impossible to flunk mindfulness. So it's definitely worthwhile. What I want to do is talk about medical benefits, and then I want to do another exercise. The medical benefits, it shrinks the brain's jumpy flight or fight center. Does anyone know, people have heard of flight or fight response? So what it does, so it shrinks, and this is from studies and stuff. So what does it do? It shrinks the flight or fight response. In the brain. So what we do with this is we're kind of in this mode of either trying to accomplish something or trying to get something, trying to pursue something, and sometimes aggressively, or we see a perceived danger and we try to flee from it. And that's the way we're born. We're born with that instinct. Our ancestors were born with that instinct. The cavemen were born with that instinct. And we've just carried that down generation to generation. So what mindfulness does is it says it will shrink that flight or fight response in the brain. It also it can lead to a change in the brain electricity, potentially leading to more efficient attention paying and learning. It can help with migraines, panic attacks, anxiety, depression, and it can help with pain. So, and I think it's because you are training yourself to be in a more relaxed and alert state. It's not a dulling out of your emotions, it's a heightening of them. Slow breathing activates areas in the brain connected with antidepressive activities. It promotes deeper sleep. When people with insomnia practice slow, even breathing for 20 minutes before going to sleep, they woke up fewer times during the night. It promotes less anxiety. There was a trial recently, a healthy woman who did 8 weeks of twice weekly yoga with breathing exercises significantly reduced anxiety. A healthier heart. Slow breathing sessions for 30 minutes a day reduce blood pressure in people with hypertension. And the effect persisted for a month later. And better air intake. Breathing slowly helps you take in more oxygen. In one study, breathing exercises done several times a day increase oxygen consumption by 37%. There's a lot of promotion for deep breathing exercises. I think one of the handouts has some steps that we're going to maybe not. Okay, never mind with that. But there's a lot of deep breathing benefits. People start their day deep breathing. During the course of the day, you practice deep breathing. And I think what it is with some people, and you probably may be among them, you encounter like a difficult, something really stressful right now. And so you go and you start doing deep breathing, which is good. Deep breathing can also be done any time of the day. And it can benefit you later on when you are stressed. In other words, if I practice deep breathing every day at 7 a.m., then I encounter a stressful event at noon, I can benefit from my deep breathing, just like exercise. You exercise not just to feel good or have a certain outcome while you exercise, you do so you can have a positive outcome with your health later, ongoing. Mindfulness is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. A mental state achieved by focusing awareness on the present moment A mental state achieved by focusing awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. So mindfulness is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. It has 4 components: paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. There we go. Paying attention. Listening or watching or considering what naturally exists. It is in a very real sense being objective. Looking at what exists and removing any of your prior biases or prejudices, which is obviously very hard to do for human beings. On purpose, intentionally increasing awareness of experience. So your intention, anything in life that you want to pursue or accomplish, is best done when you start with your intention. If you don't have an intention, then you don't know where you're heading. In the present moment, focusing on the here and now. Mindfulness says you're focused on what you're doing right now, and you spend time reminiscing about the past, And you also spend time planning for the future and maybe stargazing about things that may happen in the future and kind of being maybe a little excited about this or that thing that might happen. That's very healthy. What mindfulness does, though, it says, put your focus and have your intention be on what you're doing right now, what you're doing in the present. Non-judgmentally, being curious and objective about experience. Living your life without judgment. I find now that where I am where I'm at now, I'm like judging a lot. I'm like judging like the person, I'm working hard at work and somebody else is goofing off, and I just like judgment jumps in my head, and I'm like, why do I do that? What happens though is if I judge, then I get stuck. I'm going to be thinking about what that person's doing, or let's say I'm driving to work, somebody cuts me off, and I get mad at them, and then I relive that for the rest of the day, maybe part of the next day, maybe part of the day after, and what it is I'm getting stuck in the past. I'm physically here, but I'm not able to really do anything about it. I'm more on a surface level. I'm living my life on a surface level. I'm not living my life with any depth if I'm not living in the present and doing it well. We have continuous partial attention. What we're doing is we're always sort of partially paying attention to what we're doing right now, and then the rest of our attention is spread out amongst a whole bunch of other stuff. And some of it relates to our lives, some of it relates to other people's lives, but we have continuous partial attention. And when you have that, you're kind of in a place of never being fully invested in what you're doing right now. And when that happens is you're going to be less efficient. You're going to get less done. Mindfulness is not about getting a lot of things done. It's about looking at each activity and event objectively and fairly without judgment. However, mindfulness will enable you to do more, because what it does is it pulls your focus off of the destination, off of the task completion, and it puts your focus on what you're doing right now. And as a result, you're more successful completing those tasks. And I tell people, I work at Pratt & Whitney in East Hartford, and I do mindfulness workshops there, and I'm a finance accountant. I mean, that's what they pay me for, but I do this other stuff too. And I tell people they have all these deadlines. Just at work alone, they have all these deadlines, never mind the rest of their lives. And I tell people that you're better off not focusing on all the deadlines and the due dates, and rather just focusing on execution in the present. It's hard, because we keep thinking about the thing that's going to happen a week from now, or we want to finish something 2 weeks from now, and we keep thinking about those dates. But then we're kind of almost wishing we can get to those places, get to those dates, and then we're not fully engaged and invested in what we're doing right now. And so we struggle. We struggle with satisfaction, enjoyment. We tend not to fully experience our emotions because we are not fully invested in the present. Meditation is an amazing practice, but what matters is what happens off the cushion. It's the application and how you work with mindfulness in your life. It means trying to stay in the present in the way that you approach your work or the way you're washing a dish. It doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters is that you chose to do it now. And trying to pay more attention. What meditation does, which is a key component of mindfulness, it kind of trains your mind that when you get distracted, you don't get mad at yourself, but you pull it back into the present, in the mindfulness exercise, and then you end up training your mind to be able to refocus. consistency in mindfulness matters more than the all or nothing, built to fail extremes. It's a lifelong project. I think anything that's worthwhile is something that you're gonna say is lifelong. If it's a good idea today, it's going to be a good idea tomorrow. So that's kind of like how I view mindfulness. Mindfulness. Okay, so this is the gentleman that wrote this article. Mindfulness for me has meant purging a slew of apps from my phone and my notifications from almost everything. It's meant overcoming my dread of boredom and sometimes going out for a run without listening to music. It's meant similarly giving myself permission to not eat lunch in front of my computer. It's been taking a moment to sniff a tomato before chopping it for a salad, or to take a few slow, steadying breaths when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I think what happens, like for me, if I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, what I used to do is give in to fear. Because I'd be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, which just means I'm not managing whatever level of stress I have. And so I would start to become fearful of that, which would make me become more overwhelmed, because the fear would fuel my angst. What I learned now is to kind of just let it be, kind of work through it, sort of like with meditation. If you have negative thoughts or distracting thoughts, just let them be. Let them float through. Don't try to run away. Don't try to have this life that's a perfect life that you can control everything. Just let it be. So that's what I do now. I don't give in to fear. I kind of just let my situation, my day be. And I try to focus more on intimacy and love rather than fear. Because if I have intimacy and love, everything is more relaxed. Everything is more under control and calm. So I kind of let fear, things are going to happen the way they're going to happen. The day's going to be the way it is. And I don't let fear take any situation that's turning bad and make it worse. So, yeah, taking a moment to sniff a tomato before chopping it for a salad, or to take a few slow, steadying breaths when I'm feeling overwhelmed. These are not exactly revolutionary practices. They are challenging. I often blow it. That's kind of the point. It doesn't really, you can kind of have fun with it, with mindfulness. You don't have to say, oh, end of the day, you say, I just nailed every time I try to be mindful, I nailed it. I was like, perfect, this is great. Tomorrow I'm going to be even more perfect. It's not about that. It's about just being yourself, about living your life the way you want to live it, experiencing things in a more deep and meaningful way, adding purpose, in a sense, to your life. The purpose of being who you want to be, the type of person you want to be, not what anybody else thinks you should be, or not acting the way that people think you should act. Mindfulness helps us to do one thing at a time, then move on to the next thing, then repeat. It really does tell us to bloom where we are planted. It's so easy to have a life and to be doing things and wishing you had a different life, or wishing you were doing something else. And when we do that, we can never bloom where we're planted, because we're always trying to get somewhere else, or we're thinking about somebody that has a different life than us, or they get things that we're not getting. And it could be anything. It could be a really good relationship with their kid. Maybe we don't have that. It could be anything. And what mindfulness does is you do one thing at a time. And what I do is I do it to the best of my ability, but not as a perfectionist. I'm not trying to get an A+ in everything. I'm just trying to basically do things well, do something well, and then move on to something else and do that well. There are days when I have depression, for example, I can't really do anything that well by other people's standards. But if I'm doing it as best as I can in that day, then I have every reason to be proud of my efforts, because I put in my best effort. And then I'm not going to regret later on. I'm not going to be like, oh, why did I half-ass that thing back yesterday? Why did I do such a mediocre job with something when I knew I could have done better? And I don't have to have that regret. I don't have to then get stuck in the past when I'm going back and saying, well, I wish I could live that yesterday over again. I could do things differently. I could do that thing differently. So I don't have to worry about that because I did my best. Our choice for the one thing we're doing, it's our own choice for the one thing we're doing right now. What we're doing right now is the most important thing in the world. What we're doing right now is the most important thing in the world. Like I'll have somebody email me something, I'll do a mindfulness presentation, and I'll get an email from somebody, and they go, oh, you probably don't have time to respond. And what I do is if I'm responding, I'm saying while I'm responding, this is more important than my kids, it's more important than anything I have to do. Because I chose to do it right now, it becomes the most important thing. The practice of mindfulness can improve skill sets to accept things without attaching to them. Consistent practice can improve your skill set to accept things without strongly attaching to them. A major stress-busting technique. So you accept things without strongly attaching to them. It's not that we do not experience intense emotions. It's that they will recover to baseline more quickly. We may experience emotion that's appropriate in the situation, but not have it bleed over into the next. There's no lingering, there's no stickiness. So what mindfulness does is it allows us to live our lives, to focus on what's happening right now in the here and now, to feel it, to live it. But then it's on to the next thing, and then you're doing the same thing with the next activity, the new here and now. What happens with stickiness or lingering, if we experience something and then we get stuck in that, and we're kind of continuing to revisit it, then we're not letting ourselves live in the present. We're kind of over here in the past. That doesn't mean, if something really good happened earlier today, you can't revisit it and be happy about it. Or if you saw or experienced something that was sad earlier today, you can't revisit it. That's fine. But what happens is when we are not mindful of what we're doing and how we're living our present life, we will tend to get stuck. There's a stickiness, and it lingers. Things linger, and anything that lingers is going to tend to cause us to stay in the past, or to cause us to, if there's something that's happening in the future, we know something's going to happen at some point in the future, we can get or worried that something might happen that we're worried about in the future to us or somebody else that we know. We can get kind of stuck in. We can get kind of stuck in this worry, and it really could become a problem. So mindfulness basically says just don't be. It allows us an opportunity not to get stuck. Judgment brings with it subjectivity and stickiness. If we're judging ourselves, which is really the worst thing, the hardest thing is when we judge ourselves. We don't need anyone else to judge us. We do it ourselves quite well. And when we judge ourselves, we will maybe do something about ourselves we don't like, and we'll keep revisiting that in a kind of like we can't just let it go. We keep revisiting it, and maybe it's even something we don't have a lot of control over, possibly. But we keep revisiting it, and then we're not able to progress and live the life that we choose to live, and to honor our intentions. So do not hold other people to our standards. Do not hold ourselves to unrealistic standards. Acceptance of who we are, warts and all. The other thing is give ourselves permission to screw up. I tell people at work and, that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be. You may come to work one day, or you may have a day when you're just not on. You don't feel like maybe you don't care about what you're doing. Maybe you're not able to focus. Be with that. Be with that experience. Accept that. Accept that that's part of who you are, and give yourself permission to have those days, because it's okay. It's okay to have those days. Then we have this handout. It's 3 simple things, ways of practicing mindfulness. Having a shower. Be mindful of the wave of pleasure as the warm water washes over you. Mindful of the smell of the shower gel, soap, or shampoo. Brushing your teeth. Be mindful of your arm moving from side to side. And the sound of the brush against your teeth. Mindful of each and every tooth and the sensation of the brush against the gums. So these are things ways to practice mindfulness that are no risk. I mean, there's a lot of ways to practice mindfulness that are more basic everyday activities, and they're good ways to learn mindfulness. Meditation is a good way to learn and reinforce mindfulness because it teaches you to train your mind to bring it back into the meditation technique, to pay attention, to live with intent. Keep calm and practice mindfulness. Mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally. Don't just look, observe. Don't just swallow, taste. Don't just sleep, dream. Don't just think, feel. Don't just exist, live. Wherever you are, be all there. Wherever you are, be all there. Mindfulness is really about being relaxed. It doesn't mean you're not going through there's a lot of turmoil in your life. There may be at that point in time, but you're more centered and relaxed about it, and you're going to approach it in a healthier way. And so what it does is it tends to lower your blood pressure, lower your blood sugar, improve your oxygen flow, and blood circulation and stuff like that. So, and then by doing that, it can reduce pain, physical pain. So it's something that it's something that you do for your whole life. You take it on, you tackle it, and say, I'm going to become mindful for the rest of my life. Anything that's worthwhile is something, in my opinion, is something that won't have an end point where I'm all done. It'll continue. So.